And I
And
understand there were some experiments done with uh,
yes, we got
Eckhart
some
Tolle.
awesome pictures with Eckhart. Eckhart was so happy. We got some really good pictures. So I just have to see if Jimmy wants to have a meeting with Eckhart to see what can be put out, what cannot be put out, and so forth. So
It's
we
all
will.
happening.
Well, it is because this team is only about education. And sometimes I think, are you kidding me? Really? It's just that they're saying, people now come for seances for entertainment. It's not anymore about education because we have a million experts out there who, believe they know exactly how we work, how we can work, how we can't work. So this team is just very much about education. How do you do it? What needed to happen to do this? Why did this happen? Why did that way happen? How is phenomena created? How can be affected? What is the sitter's mind having to do with it? The medium's mind to do with it? The harmony to do with it? Why do some need harmony in sitters? Why are the others only use sitters at battery? And it doesn't really matter if they have a good day or bad, or they positive or negative. There is so much in this. And so their plan is at the moment, and that's a good question for Jimmy. Their plan is to more or less drive the whole physical mediumship back into home circles.
Hello.
Oh, hey, Jimmy, how are you going?
Hello, friends. How are you?
Good. Everyone seems to be good. Can I just ask you the question I just talked about? Why are you saying that it is better that people need to sit in home circle and you don't really want the public medium so much?
So I caught bits there of what you were saying there as we were coming through the medium's mind. And indeed, it is about education. It is about development. Even if we look at your spiritual movement there, it was all about development. It wasn't about becoming a religion. It wasn't about gaining control for some over others. It was a philosophy for all to be able to discover the truth within themselves and the truth on their own journey. Now, the only way we can really achieve that is for groups to go back to their home circle, where they can actually get guidance from their teams. And the teams around your world can work together to achieve the same goals in the different ways and in their different outcomes. While it's in your public eye, it's become too much about entertainment, which is taken away from what it's about. Now, we needed that entertainment in order to grab people's minds, to make people ask questions, and to bring the possibilities to the public eye. But now we're at the stage that as mankind is progressing, we need to go back to the home circle in order to progress it further.
Thank you. Now, if we start with the questions then. Is the physical reality a hologram?
Depends how you want to imagine it. If you do have to understand there, everything you experience is your reality. Indeed, you do coexist with everyone that enters your reality and everyone's energy who interacts with your energy. But everything that you perceive, everything you experience is your reality. So, to that extent, yes, it would be a hologram or an imagination or even a thought. For indeed, everything on your side of life began as a thought.
Okay, thank you. Will the vibration of humanity be raised and predatory behavior cease in the natural world if we stop all cruelty to animals?
Well, I won't be holding your breath just yet. Indeed, as I look down your timeline, I can say that mankind is progressing. The veil between your side of life and my side of life is growing thinner. And indeed, you will tap into capabilities that you've not seen in your side of life for many years as you experience time. So, to that extent, mankind will become a little bit more enlightened, if you wanted a word to utilize. However, yours is a word of duality. I don't see there being word peace as you expect it. As I've said before, and I say again, if your side of life, if mankind could decide upon one religion, you'd start a war over what to call the religion. Such is the nature of the duality. You're never going to please everyone on the physical side of life. And indeed, that presents experiences and lessons that you don't get in what we call the higher realms. So there is a necessary means for it. But indeed, yes, you will become a better understanding and a kinder species. But I don't see there being world peace or everyone being on the safe list.
Thank you. Can you contact Jesus?
I don't have a direct phone number, but I think we hang around the same bars.
So that means yes.
But indeed, yes, unlike your side of life, we don't have celebrity as you have. Now, if there is a purpose for me to seek out this personality, then indeed, yes, it'd be presented to me, or an aspect of the self would be presented to me, because my understanding of what I need may be different from what I actually need. So I have guides and helpers that would direct me to the right personality for what it is I need. But in regards to the personality that you talk about, if there was a need for it, then indeed, yes. If we both wanted to meet, it'd be presented to us. I don't need to join a queue or buy a really expensive ticket for their concert.
So you would just intention to meet that personality and then you would meet.
As long as the intention is mutual on both sides, yes.
Okay. And so how would you know if your intention is to meet and then it doesn't happen? How would you know why it didn't happen?
Because within my side of life, we don't have lies and we don't have secrets as you have on your side of life. So if the personality in question didn't want to meet me, it might be for a reason that there's nothing to gain or what it is I want to achieve. I'm seeking out the wrong personality. And then there I'd be directed to the right personality. It's not because they were bored or they didn't like me.
Oh, interesting. Do you talk or work with people on your side that in other circles?
Indeed, I do, yes. And I am not owned or restricted to just this medium. I pop into other circles and I help out where I can. I may present myself by different names or go by a slightly different personality. But indeed, yes, a lot of the circles you have on your side of life are working together. And you have to understand that each phenomenon that you have on your side of life consists of a team within my side of life with that expertise. So indeed, every phenomenon you have, no matter how many mediums you have in your side of life, it'd be that team that deals with that type of phenomenon.
Okay. Do we experience different lives all at the same time? If not, how long do we usually have between reincarnation?
Indeed, time is not a linear process for us. It's down to your perception that makes you deem each moment as a separate moment. But to that, I would say every birth, every death, every experience you'll ever go through is occurring right now. The only difference is the perception. Now, for me personally, I've never experienced the phenomena of reincarnation, but to the best of my understanding and education, I have been advised by many who have been through the process that it is not the personality that returns to the physical realm. It is another aspect of the self. So the personality you are now in the physical world, when it returns to the spirit side of life, will continue to grow within the spirit side of life. It won't take a detour back to earth to pick up a few more brownie points. However, along your journey, you get to a stage where you become aware of the different lives and the different aspects that you've been. And although you retain your individualism for the personality you currently are, you'll also have the awareness and the perceptions of the other lives.
Demi, I just want to change that subject for a second. While you were saying every moment is happening now and your time is not linear, is that true?
Indeed, you are correct there.
Yeah. So you were saying the other week in Basel that you will work with the sitters perception and then the group objective, everyone will see that sitter's perception of their loved one. Now, we have seen a loved one come out of the cabinet in Malaysia like 2018, and now you're working on that phenomena. Is that because time is not linear, that you now create a phenomena we already experienced in 18? Is that correct?
Now, time is different from us. While you're in a physical body, you have physical laws that you have to adhere to. or conceptions that you have to adhere to. So while you're in a physical form, you experience time in a linear process. But when we look at the big picture, it is not a linear process. Therefore, we have to work within the physical laws. So we have to plant seeds now that in your future will grow and manifest to how we want it to be.
Oh, so Jason's dad was a seed for us to see the possibilities?
Indeed, yes, and it has other applications as well, not just the direct that you see.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Um, in what way are people, including children who accepted the mRNA injection, different to those who didn't?
So there's a lot of misconception within your side of life there. And indeed, the body has a great capacity to adapt and to overcome. Now, there can be damage done to the DNA from certain chemicals or medications provided by your side of life. However, you're not a different human. You're not going to not get to ascend with everyone else or have to do another year in school. The damage that has been done is a limited damage, and the body will be able to adjust and overcome any damage that's done there with that.
Thank you. I like to know what kinds of events we should be prepared for in the US in the months leading up to our presidential election.
Well, you have a lot more turmoil there. I wouldn't worry so much about that country. As I look around the rest of your world, the turmoil they have there would be a lot worse. However, you will have a lot of internal conflict going forward there. And indeed, the enemy will come from within in regards to that country in question.
Thank you. Will you briefly explain about the idea of past, present, future all existing at the same time, and this can mean, and what it can mean to expanding spirituality?
So, while you're in a physical form, you experience time in a linear process. You experience a beginning, a middle, and an end. However, when you get to my side of life, you understand there was no beginning, there was no end. There was only the one moment, the one perception. But because of your perception, that one moment can be what you consider time or a concept of time. However, every birth, every death, every experience you will ever encounter is occurring right now. Now, if you don't like that philosophy, if you don't like the idea that everything you're going to do has already occurred, then to that I can give you another example. That if you imagine that your life is a book, you can only go page by page. You can't go back. You can bring up memories of the past, of the previous pages, but you can't change them once they're written. You can only work on your current page. However, for somebody on my side of life, I can look anywhere in that book and see what you're going to do.
Thank you. When
Or I could
sending
even look at a different timeline and see alternative endings or alternative stories.
on the same personality,
It wouldn't necessarily be the same personality. It would be another aspect that up to a certain point had carried out every action the same.
and then turn right and one turns left, like we
And then
say.
there is a branch, yes. And the purpose of this is because in order to truly experience something, everything must be able to be experienced from every aspect, from every form.
Yeah, thank you. When sending healing via trance, what is the key to successful healing?
So first and foremost, I'd advise you to let those in my side of life who have the experience carry out the work. You must remember that you are a medium, you are a conduit, you are the channel for the energy to go through. The human form is made of an abundance of different energies. The reason we utilize mediums on your side of life is you can help to anchor the energy or direct the energy that we may not be able to from the spirit side because of the different energies you're made up of. So you must make the connection, must set the attention, but then allow those on my side to do the work.
Thank you. Will there be a nuclear war?
Well, nothing that's on my diary says it's coming up. It's really going to ruin my holidays if it does. But indeed, to
So
this,
what
I
are you
can tell you, we are not done with mankind. We are not done with your planet. Indeed, you may find that mankind is going to get very close to self-destruction. And this needs to occur in order for change to occur within your planet, which cannot occur until you're on the brink of destruction. But mankind will not get to the stage that they destroy themselves.
Thank you, Jimmy. Um, I have a question about the number 33. I have heard we will be 33 in the afterlife. I don't
I can
know.
think of better ages.
What is
Now,
that the age you mean?
when you're in my side of life, you don't have a physical form. And indeed, when I look at an individual within the spirit side of life, I don't see them in a physical form. I see the energy which would emanate from the physical form. Indeed, even from this physical side of life, when I work with the physical side of life, I don't see the physical form, I see the energy that emanates from it. However, when somebody from the spirit side of life presents themselves to the physical side of life, they must do so in a way that they be recognized. So they may pick a particular age that would be remembered at. But within my side of life, don't worry about the wrinkles. You won't have them because you don't have a physical form, and your energy won't get wrinkled.
So how would I then recognize someone? You say, we are met by loved ones, and I would say, okay, my dad is coming. Would he not look to me the same, so I would recognize him, or would I just recognize the energy?
You would recognize the energy and it would be a lot clearer than any defining features. So, a very brief example I can give you. If somebody is staring at you and you know that someone is looking at you, you get that feeling. Imagine that magnified intensely. That is what it would be like when somebody's energy approached you. You would recognize the energy. You wouldn't just recognize the energy at a glance, you would recognize the kinship and the partnership and everything you've been through with that energy.
Oh, that is nice. Thank you. Oh, Cindy, I think we answered that question already. Is it possible for us to communicate spiritually with our living relatives who have dementia?
Indeed, it is possible there. There's no reason why it isn't. If there is damage in the physical form, then you may find that the communication might be a lot easier coming from my side of life, but there will still be some limitations while they're in the physical form. Where the misconception is there, though, is you're not necessarily connecting with the individual that's still in the physical form. You are connecting with the aspect of the self that is already in the spirit side of life. The physical living entity in the physical realm is just the conduit, the focal point for you to connect with the intelligence in my side of life.
So, is that for everyone? Is it that part of us is always in the spirit world, and then the local consciousness, plays out a game down here, or down here? Is that how we could say it? That there are two parts of us, the spiritual and the physical, but they're one, but one is up, one is with you already.
That's one way to look at it. Again, back to our previous conversation that every moment is occurring right now. You are both alive in the physical realm in every lifetime you'll ever live, but you're also within my side of life. Where you are limited in your physical form is you have a limited perception. And all that will change in your development is the level of awareness within your perception.
So the non-physical learns from the physical
So when your
part.
personality first passes over, it'd still be very limited. You'll only be aware of the one lifetime, the one aspect. As that perception grows, you become aware of the different lifetimes. But it's not that you're gaining that information, you're just gaining that awareness because that awareness was always there. You were just in a limited perspective of it.
Oh, it must be good to be dead, actually. Hi, I have two questions. Will I move with a large group of people from this life and time, or will I watch all that will happen? Watch all that will happen. And is there anyhow I can help to soothe the incoming situation?
So to try and answer your first question there, if I've understood that correctly there, you'll find that many who pass to my side life will choose to wait for the loved ones they have still left in the physical realm before they choose to move on in their journey. And again, because we aren't limited by time, 20 to 40 years in the physical realm, we only feel like a blink of an eye to those in my side of life. And indeed, to answer your second question, the best thing that you can do for your planet, for humanity as a whole, is to actually work on yourself. So, as we spoke earlier, there, everything you experience is a manifestation of your own reality. So, if there are aspects of your reality you don't like, you have to change that energy within yourself, not externally, which is a mistake that mankind often makes. They want to make changes in their life, but they want somebody else to do it for them.
Thank you. I think it was mine. I'm trying to, okay. What are angel numbers trying to tell us? I have read many books, however, sometimes it's still difficult to determine.
Now, to this, there's again a lot of misconception there and a lot of misunderstanding. If you're seeing repeated numbers, it's because you built that pattern in your mind. So you will actually become aware of that energy when that is occurring. So it's not that necessarily my side of life is causing that to happen, unless there's an intelligence that they're trying to give you a specific message. And that is why they're showing you the same things over and over. All the times you simply get familiar with the energy of, say, 111. So every time you feel that energy, you will consciously become aware there is a 111 around you. Now, in regards to the interpretation, if there is a message behind it, this is going to be down to an individual interpretation there. What it might mean for one person may be completely different to another. So you really have to understand what that particular energy means for you. Because if you're going off somebody else's book, you're going off their interpretation of what that number means to them.
Okay. Did the first souls that incarnated on this earth come from a distant planet?
The souls didn't know. The intelligence behind it, maybe they may have drawn upon other lifetimes and they may have helped bring that intelligence through. If we're talking about the human form, then yes, indeed, the reason mankind stands out from its animal kingdom is because your form, your genes, your DNA have been helped from intelligences that are of your side of life, but not of your planet.
Thank you. Did laughter help the card change color in our perception? Did laughter help the card change color in our perception? Laurie, just unmute yourself. I don't get your question. Unmute yourself.
I'm
What?
horrible at that. Precipitation. We did a precipitation, but there was
Oh
a
no,
lot
you
of
read
laughter.
precipitation. I don't know why I read it. Thank you.
Indeed, laughter can help. Any strong energy is going to help if utilized in the right way. If utilized in the wrong way, you might have too much energy, which may then destroy or disrupt an experiment. But indeed, especially when it's a bond of love, actions such as laughter can definitely help direct the energies in the right way and help to bring that bond of love.
Thank you. Will there be a clear, decisive winner in the upcoming US presidential election, and who will be the winner?
To this, I tell you, you've got a lot of conflict coming up. And I'll leave you with that at the moment. I will give you later more information if you ask at a later time. But what I would warn you is you're going to have a lot of internal conflict. And as I said earlier, the enemy is going to come from within in regards to that country rather than different countries fighting each other.
Thank you. What happens when someone dies suddenly? Will their loved ones meet them still?
It would depend on the individual and the personality. Now, when you pass over to my side of life, we want it to be done in a way that your personality, your understanding can accept. So, as I've said before, we would not want you to get to the end of the tunnel, meet somebody you didn't like, and turn around. We also wouldn't want the tunnel to be under maintenance at the time and for it to be very dark. So we'll often prepare before you come over. Now, if you were to pass very suddenly, you may have a while that you don't actually realize you passed over. You may find yourself in a hospital situation. And in time, as you go through a healing process, you come to learn that you passed over. And after that, I have never met an atheist who was unhappy about being wrong. And indeed, sometimes it's the atheists who pass over the quickest and the easiest because they have no preconception of what to expect. Whereas those who may feel that they're going to suffer or be punished may try and slow down the transition or come over in fear. So they may go through a healing process for a little bit longer. If somebody is aware of the passing or open to the passing, then they may experience something like a tunnel, like a field where they'd be met by loved ones. But it really would depend on the individual and the situation at hand.
Okay. Can you please explain why certain forms of technology can affect physical mediums in seance conditions? And is it the same with all physical mediums?
Now, to this, there's many answers I can give here. So I try and just touch upon a few there. And if you need more, I try and give you more. So on the first hand, everything on your side of life is vibration. Some energies are going to help the physical phenomena, others will take away. So indeed, some may be putting too much energy into the room at the time, which may affect the harmony. Some may affect the build-up of energy or be breaking down the energy when we're trying to build it. And then on the other hand, we have to work within limitations within your side of life. We can only give your side of life so much at one time. And we can't be going tearing down the veil between your side and my side of life until your side is ready and able to accept that. So indeed, in those situations, certain technology may prevent us from working in a particular way. And that may mean that either we can't go ahead with an experiment or we have to try to do the experiment in a different way that fits the parameters of what we're allowed to do in regards to your side of life and where man's understanding is at.
On that, somebody asked me, and I thought I asked you, if you would have a form built from ectoplasm or photoplasm, and you would have infrared as a camera, what would you see? Would it be different, or would they turn up both the same?
So if it's done in the right ways and the teams are given permission and the go ahead to do so, you'll find that with your cameras and your infrareds, they're more likely to work with the photoplasm, which would talk among yourselves for a moment.
Yep. So when he says that, it means the link is not as strong, so he has to build the link.
Hello.
Hey,
Apologies there. I had to put some more coins in the medium box there.
some coins.
Oh, I apologize. I misspoke there. If we are going to work with your technology, we'd more likely work with the ectoplasm when working with your technology and your cameras, as it's going to be easier for that to pick up because it's giving out energy. And when it comes to aspects such as the photoplasm, a lot of those times we're drawing in the energy, and this can sometimes take away the energy necessary for your technology to pick up on or to interpret. So it may be harder to work with your technology in regards to the photoplasms.
Okay, yeah, I just couldn't understand quite what happened there. Okay, do we all have to reincarnate, and do you believe in soul planning?
Well, if we all have to reincarnate, I've not done so. And to my understanding, it's not the personality that returns, it's another aspect. Now, in order to move forward in my side of life, you do have to have the experience necessary to do so. And some of that experience, some of that knowledge, you'll only get from the physical side of life due to its duality. So, indeed, in order to progress, you will have to have an aspect of the self return and gain that experience. But nobody's going to force that upon you until you're ready and able to accept that and want that to occur.
Okay, thank you. How do you know that you can receive voices as a medium?
Well, everyone is spirit first and foremost. I would practice on sitting in the power and learning to discern between what are your thoughts and your interpretations compared to your teams, so that you then know that if you are hearing voices, they are energy that is induced from an intelligence from my side of life and not a concoction coming from your mind. Because indeed, even if the intelligence is coming from my side of life, your mind could overtake that interpretation and change it to a way the mind could understand it, which is different from the information that was coming through. Just as I speak to you now and I have struggled with the medium's mind, it starts to change the information that I want to put forward. So on that level, I should now return the medium to you. Until we speak again, remember the love inside, you take it with you.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. If you work with trance or even work with physical, there are so many things people cannot understand. Like you see now, you could see the last 2 sentences or 3 sentences, he really struggled to hold the link and get his information across because the mind came forward and the mind back, forward, back. And that is with many trance mediums, you can sometimes get really good information and suddenly you think, what is happening there? So if you have a good team who goes, yeah, no, we out, that's great. But for beginning trance mediums, they often don't really know also when their mind kicks in. So it is very interesting to learn about all these things as well, I think, in seances, in trance demonstrations, because some people go, oh, well, it's all my guide. Sometimes it is not. I find that very interesting. Oh, learning.
What did I miss?
What you miss? Oh, good morning. You missed that Jimmy lost control towards the end and said, I'm out.
Oh, sorry. Was there any questions I had to clarify or?
No, he was quite on fire.
Lovely. Good.
Yeah.
Any questions in general?
Yeah. Has somebody questions for the medium here?